Hey there, guys. How you guys doing? This is Ricky, aka the War Champion, here today. Today we're gonna just put the joystick down for a moment and have a little discussion. I think this is a very good topic. This video should be very informative. We're gonna discuss some details on regarding, which version was it harder to play Kingdom Rush on. This is either out of the Steam or the Flash PC version. And when I say Flash, I'm referring to you going on, Armor Games, on the internet, and then you play the Flash version of Kingdom Rush. A lot of people ask, what version are you playing Kingdom Rush on? And I'm all like, I'm playing it on Steam, or Flash. What's the big deal? And as I looked up on, the websites, I learned, there are some differences that I've spotted, and some very notable ones too. Even some that might even surprise you, or ones you might not have thought about. I think overall this video should kind of open your eyes up as far as to what those differences were, so that you would be kind of aware of them when it comes to your decision making as to what version you would like to play it on. Fortunately, I haven't played mobile, so I can't really talk much about that, but have played Flash and Steam, so I'm willing to give you the details on that. So without further ado, let us commence. So here is just the key differences that I've come up with, that I've learned. So obviously starting off with number one, Steam versus Flash with the amount of levels. Obviously, if you have played the Flash online, the Flash version has a total of only 19 levels, where Steam has all of them. Flash excludes the Pit of Fire level, Pandemonium, Fungal Forest, and the Blackburn stages. Let me just show you the map too as well to show you that. So here you see the map of Steam. Steam is it's a more modern, more detail oriented map, showing all the levels from the forest to the snow levels to the Pit of Fire, the rotten areas, and such. But Flash map has like this old, like 12th century looking type of map. Something Christopher Columbus might have used when he sailed around the world. But you see this right here. This just shows only 19 levels, and you only get those levels unlocked, I think, when you unlock the premium content. And I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. But there, that shows all of the levels, of the differences there, if you on the internet Flash. And then also another thing is that with the Flash version versus the Steam has the updated soundtracks for every level that match the environment. But Flash, however, has that forest level music, that I played in the beginning of the video. Only exception is, of course, the only soundtracks that do match is on the Dark Tower, the campaign mode. For both Flash and Steam, they have Vez'nan soundtracks, so they match there. However, on Flash, if you played the Dark Tower Heroic and Iron challenges, these soundtracks do not only have the forest level music. So it's only the campaign for Dark Tower that they have the same soundtracks on that of that on the Steam. All right. Next is now this is with regarding the gameplay. And this is I think it's really important that you guys know about this. So players on Steam, you have the potential to alter the width of the screen resolution, and that affects the gameplay as it affects the distance of the length of the path that the enemies take. And so let me show you an example, for instance, right here. So here it shows when I play on a left side is the bigger screen resolution, 1280 by 720. On the right side is the smaller, is 800 by 600. So here's the difference of the path. I want you to notice this. On the bigger screen resolution, notice that on the left-hand side, 1200 by 720, 1280 by 720, you have the entrance path. Look at the entrance paths compared to the 800. You see how the entrance path on the 800 is truncated, both the entrance and exits? That's a big notable difference, and that gives you more real estate and more, shall I say, more room for error, as you can stop enemies, from potentially escaping the battlefield and achieve victory a lot easier compared to on a smaller screen resolution. You can also tank enemies a lot earlier as you have more, that extra real estate room. So it's actually a pretty big deal. It makes the gameplay a lot easier when you have a bigger screen resolution. Something that I did not think too much about, but I noticed it. And if people were playing, asking, how come your version's harder? Maybe it's because of the screen resolution. You never know. Always check that. And then that's the ruins of Akaroth level. Here's the rotten forest. Kind of hard to tell with the entrances, but for sure you see it on the exit paths. As you see there, the entrance is a lot further on the bigger screen resolution versus the smaller. Entrance, kind of tough to tell, but it is a little difference there, but not much. But it does make a difference on the screen resolution clearly, as you can tell. That's the rotten forest too. Okay. And then this is an example on playing on Flash, whereas I think you might not have, I didn't say it, but if you alter the zoom in, maybe the screen resolution, like when you're playing on the internet, you're trying to alter your zoom, the zoom, like you zoom in and zoom out, it doesn't affect the gameplay in any way with respect to the path, the length of the path that the enemies travel. So here's an example of that right here. This is showing me zooming out, no effect on the path. Zooming in, no effect on the path. So obviously it's fixed and there's nothing you can do about that. You have to just play Flash the way it is. Unless there's something else that you guys might know about that I'm unaware of it, that you can alter the resolution of the screen, but that's for sure what I know. You can't, it doesn't have any effect on this Flash PC version when you play online. Okay? So that's that for the Flash and the zooming effects, screen resolution. Next is another thing that I think is pretty important depending on if you're a hero type of guy, you like to play with heroes. I noticed something, hit point stats with respect to a hero. Could be more other heroes that I don't know about, but for sure for Ignis is shown corruption of his hit points at level 10. He has occasionally showing that he has 804, but he's supposed to have only 670, whereas on the Flash version, I've never come across the case where his hit points have been showing signs of that kind of corruption. So here's an example of that. Here's a video where I have of me playing the Waste. This is when I was attempting a no towers challenge. Notice this. Oh, no, you didn't see that. So let me back up. Right there. So there it is. You see his hit points at 804. It's supposed to be 670, but this is on Steam, so it's shown signs of corruption on Steam before. So that's something to be aware of if you like to play with him pretty often. See, he has 670 hit points on the Flash version. So that's 134 hit point difference, but that does make a pretty big deal as it keeps him in the game a lot longer and can make the difference between you stopping or an enemy leaking the battlefield. All of that kind of matters, to tell you the truth. Now, all right, moving right along. Next is the IQ of the reinforcements. Now, this is something that I think is also a very big deal as far as gameplay wise. It makes a big difference, I guarantee you. For instance, their spear throwing capability and their decision making. So let's see them in combat to see what I'm talking about. So watch, this is the Steam. So look at how they're throwing their spears. You'll notice that they have like this kind of a parabola, high arcing type of throw. Kind of like, if you ever watch basketball, Derek Fisher, how he shoots the ball, he has that high arcing jumper. Well, that's kind of how they throw their spears. It's kind of high and arcing, and they tend to hit enemies that are always closest to the exit path. They don't tend to do what they do on Flash, as you'll soon see. They make sure they hit the enemy that's in front of them. That's very, very good to work with. It doesn't create a lot of ambiguity when it comes to stopping enemies with their reinforcements, spear throwing. Now this is on Flash. Watch this. Oh, no, not that. Ignis zoomed right there. But on Flash, they throw their spears. They tend to hit their enemies pretty quickly because it's like a gunning type of throw. They throw them like a bullet, like football. They're throwing you see how that fast throwing? But it's a difference. It's kind of a little annoying when you're trying to stop enemies in front of them. Watch this. Watch how they throw their spears. You see how the husks are right in front of them? They throw their spears over the enemy that is right in front of them. So that right there, was a prime example of the difference of the decision making that they have. When and I think it has to do with the fact because of how they throw their spears, they're gunning them so fast. So they're throwing them, they tend to throw over the head of their enemies that are in front of them. So that could be kind of frustrating to deal with should an enemy that you're trying to stop with the reinforcements to throw the spears happen to throw it over them, as they might get intercepted in a melee combat, and that's not the desirable outcome you want. You want them to throw the spears. So that can make things kind of hard to deal with when it comes to playing on the flash with the reinforcements. Here's another example, is also with regards to them attacking flying units. On the Steam version, look at this. This right here is somewhat of a good example, but towards the end of this clip, it's going to show you what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is they tend to attack the flying units from underneath them. They will, if they're right underneath the flying unit, they will throw their spears at them. That's the biggest difference that I noticed on Steam versus on Flash. And you'll see it kind of coming up right here. See, here's the demon imp right here. But see that? They let the spears go. Here's another example. Boom. Boom. You see that? They're letting them go right underneath that flying unit. Now, if you play it on Flash, watch what happens. You have to put them at an angle, an X amount of distance away from them for them to do it. But notice, see how they're not attacking? See that? This right here is a good example. I got reinforcements. You expect them. Watch this demon right here. You see how they didn't attack that one? They started attacking the other ones instead. But the demon should have been the main target, but they're not attacking. And that's because I think, and I'm not sure why, but that's a notable difference that I've spotted on the Flash version, is that on the Flash, when they're underneath the flying units, they tend to not attack them. They have to be a certain X amount of distance away from them. So it kind of makes things hard when it comes to you stopping those flying units should you put a reinforcement underneath them. Next is obviously one thing that people might know is that Barbarians on the Steam possess the potential to perform a whirlwind axe attack, whereas on Flash they have the ability to throw nets to slow down the speed of the flying units. So obviously here's a little screenshot of that. It's kind of hard to see, but I think you can tell. You see the whirlwind attack. See, if you're, it depends on. I guess this kind of attacks. Kind of leaning towards the style of play. If you like to be the type of person that likes a killing machine type of barbarian, then the Steam version might be right for you. But if you like a little bit of slowing down flying units and they may give you trouble, you could play the Flash version and exploit the use of their net throwing capability to stop and slow down flying units. But they don't have all the killing machine tool arsenals in their toolbox on the Flash version compared to the Steam. So that's a notable difference there. Kind of depends on the style of play, I guess. Moving right along, next is the artillery upgrade cost. Is different. There's a difference. Tesla tower costs 1 bounty less on Steam at 337 and on Flash 338. Big Bertha its special ability upgrades are a little different. And then the level 1 tier tower on Steam is 1 bounty less than on Flash at 112 versus 113. So here's clips to show you proof of that. So see, it costs 337 on the Steam version. That was me upgrading the Tesla. I don't think there's any difference on the special abilities. But here it is on the Flash. Look at this, 338. Another thing to note is that the Tesla is on the left side for the selection spot, compared to on Steam it's on the right. It's a right slot selection spot. So here, this one shows for the Big Bertha. I'm going to show you the special abilities here and the differences. See, 75 112. That's 75 and 112 for more upgrades, but when you go here on Flash, 93 93. See the difference? Not much of a big deal, but just thought I'd put that out there. It kind of makes, if you're depending on how you like to play and how, bounty, how much bounty you might have, that affects the decision making when it comes to how you might play the game. You never, based on how much those special abilities cost. And then also, although it kind of went a little fast, but the level 1 tier tower, you might have to pause it when I showed them upgrading it. There was a difference at 112 versus 113. Moving right along, Earth Elementals on the Steam can potentially have a maximum attack power of 50 to 70 and an attack rate of every 2 seconds, whereas compared to on the Flash, they can have a maximum attack power of 70 to 110 and an attack rate of every 3 seconds. So let's see them in combat to see where I'm coming from on that. This is Steam. 50 to 70. And you hear the soundtrack too. That's how you know this level we're playing Steam, because it has its own specific soundtrack for it. 1,000, 1,000. See that? 2-second interval. See, this is the Flash. It's like 3 seconds right there. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. See? Attacks a lot slower. See that? Okay. So that's the difference there. Earth Elementals attack rate and their attack powers are different. Another thing is the Troll Champions physical attack rate is 1 hit every 1.5 seconds versus 1 hit every second on the Flash. So let's see that in combat and see that in action. This is Steam. See how slow they're attacking? 1 hit 1 every 1.5 seconds. Now this is Flash. See, they're attacking much quicker there. Next is the Demon Lord. Demon Lord's physical attack rate 1 hit every 2 seconds on Steam versus 1 hit every second on Flash. Let's see that in combat. That's another enemy that has a different attack rate. Just the Waste. 1,000. No, never mind. 1,000. 1,000. See that? Let's go off this every 2 seconds roughly. Seems like this is Flash. See how much quicker they're attacking? That makes it kind of hard to use barracks or any kind of melee unit to go toe-to-toe with them as they're attacking that quick. So that makes a pretty big difference there depending on your style of play. When you want to hold off a certain enemy, those two enemies are the ones you want to be aware of. Excuse me. Moving right along, Troll Chieftain Drum of War effect. Now this is a big deal depending on excuse me, if you play Glacial Heights or Hawkrotch Plateau specifically, because that's the level where the Troll Breaker appears. So the levels on where the Troll Breakers appear on the Steam are not as hard compared to on the Flash version, because of the Drum of War effect only has effect on Troll Brethren except for the Troll Breaker on Steam, but it affects the Troll Breaker on the Flash version. So that's a very, very big difference, and for that reason, that makes Hawkrotch and Glacial Heights all the much harder to do on the Flash than it is on the Steam version. So let's see that. So this is Steam. Notice this. See that? He bangs the drum. It only affected the Troll and the Troll Champion, but it didn't have any effect on the Troll Breaker. See that? Now this is the Flash version. See that? Same level Hawkrotch Plateau, but you see the Troll Breaker's speed and stamina got increased. See that? Including the Troll Pathfinder as well. That makes, see how much harder this is? It makes it much, much difficult. That makes them, now the Troll Breakers, instead of having 95 to 165, they now have 110 to 195 attack power with 100% armor. Just a bad, hard to deal with that enemy then. Now, because of that, I noticed something else. And I think this kind of, maybe somebody else noticed it, but look at this. This, on the left is Steam, on the right is Flash. Aside from the entrance and exit paths, as we already know, this is the heroic stage of Glacial Heights. I want you to notice a difference here. The wave hasn't started, but do you see something? If you said the lives, you got it right. Look how many lives you're starting with on Steam for the heroic challenge. And the one now on the Flash, you got how many lives? 5. Now, that could be, maybe it was an accident, or maybe it was done on purpose by the producers. Who knows? I don't know for sure, but to me, you could argue maybe it was on purpose because, obviously was they may have realized, with the drum of war effect not having effect on the troll breaker, that would make this particular level a lot easier to deal with, so they leave you with 1 life like they typically do for a heroic challenge. But since they realize, since the drum of war has an effect on the troll breaker, it makes it even very much harder to do this particular level. So they said, hey, let me just give you guys 5 lives to spare. And by the way, speaking of it, because the last wave is ridiculously hard. I mean, even if you played it on the Steam version, it's still very challenging. That one out of the cave section brought 7 troll chieftain, 7 troll breaker, 8 troll champion, and then on the ice path section it brought path brought 1 troll breaker, 34 troll pathfinders. So imagine when you got 8 troll breakers, 7 troll chieftains, and then you got all those pathfinders, but you got that troll chieftain, that nasty thorn, and you're playing Flash, and he's banging that drum, and he's invigorating the power and the combat capabilities of the troll breakers. Imagine how hard that is. Not only that, plus you have a shorter exit path, a truncated exit path. So the level is over as soon as they step off that battlefield on Flash. Think about how much harder that is. So maybe it's not a coincidence, or maybe they did it on purpose, or maybe it is an accident. Who knows for sure? I just know that, and deep down, in my opinion, I think it's on purpose that they left you with 5 lives after they may have realized how much harder it is to beat this heroic challenge. And by the way, that is the only heroic challenge on the Flash version, on the PC Flash version, that has the 5 life limit on a heroic challenge. It's for this level, Glacial Heights. Thought you just might know about that. Okay, moving right along. So another thing, next one is Vez'nan and his special ability. So obviously most people, I'm thinking, probably know this. Vez'nan doesn't have this Soul Drain attack on Steam, but he does, however, on the Flash version. So let's see that in action to see where I'm coming from. So tells us, it looks like it's time for him to go postal. I'd say it's time for us to kick your butt. So here he comes. This is Steam. Watch what he's going to do. Tissy, right here, right now, he would have been used the Flash. I mean, he would already use that Soul Drain attack, but because we're playing on Steam, he doesn't have it, so he's just going to have to take us out using his staff, doing that area effect. Very powerful. Now, this is what happens on the Flash. Let you know it's time for him to go postal. So here he comes. As soon as he shows up, yoink, he does that to you. You guys, all 3 of your barbarians are out of the building. And he does that again. See? It's much harder to deal with on the Flash, and then it's because it has that recharge period before he can do it again. He'll use his staff to attack, but right here, now that it's recharged, there he does, that goes again with that. So I'm pretty sure most people, you guys pretty much knew that already. Next is the Sasquatch and the difference in cost. So on the Steam, the Sasquatch costs 400, but on the Flash it costs 500 bounty. So the Sasquatch, most of you probably already know, it appears on the Icewind Pass level. So once to free it, you'd have to use the Rain of Fire, and then only then will you be able to have the potential to purchase him. And when you purchase him, on Steam, as you see, costs 100 less than on Flash. So that makes a pretty big difference depending on if you want to exploit using Sasquatch to help defend against the enemies escaping the battlefield. But that's, this is just for one particular level specifically. So it can be beaten without him, but If you play the heroic challenge or maybe the iron challenge, you might want to look forward to using them. That's kind of up to that's your call, but just thought you'd be aware of that too. Okay, and next is, I think last is, well, actually next is the wave composition for some levels are different than on Steam and Flash. For instance, the Dark Tower Iron Stage, Sarlgas's Lairs campaign, and the Heroic Challenge as well for the Sarlgas Lair. So to show you what I'm talking about there, see, so here's an example. See the Dark Tower Iron Stage? There's only one difference. It's the northwest entrance. Notice that you have Dark Tower on Steam. On the Iron Stage, you have 74 Demon Spawn. However, on Flash, it's only 67 Demon Spawn. However, there is 14 Shamans introduced on the Flash. So you got those Shamans which have the ability to heal heal allies. You have to deal with that on the Flash version. However, you have 7 less Demon Spawn, but you still have that in the picture. Sarlgas Lair, the wave compositions on Steam are completely different for all waves except for all waves starting from the 11th going forward, except for the 13th wave. The 13th wave on both versions brought a total of 16 rocket riders, 8 on both sides. So, but I don't have a clip showing that, but that's kind of like, I think you should just want to put that out there. And I think honestly on the Flash, it's a lot harder to do this campaign because they have the demon spawns and demon lords and demon hounds coming on that one, as well as magma elementals, which is a difference there. And then the heroic challenge is on the 5th wave. This is, I forgot to mention that, the 5th wave of the heroic challenge, there's a difference in the enemies entering on the east entrance, specifically for that's where the knights and the dark knights and the marauders come. As you can see there's a difference with specifically the shamans coming, and there's less shadow archers appearing on the Flash version. So let's see this as proof to prove that this is true. So that's the Steam version of the Iron Challenge of the Dark Tower. Notice that there's no shamans. And of course, they don't show you how many enemies are coming. You just have to take it as it comes. That's the Iron. So this is on the Flash version. There's a shamans coming. Of course, as we already mentioned, there's 14 of them, and there's 67 demon spawn, but you have to find that out as the game progresses. So that's the Dark Tower Iron Stage. Again, I mentioned I don't have Sarlgas's Lair for campaign, but I do for the heroic, and this is the 5th wave of the heroic challenge for Steam, where it brought 10 Warg, 6 Dark Slayer, 15 Shadow Archer, 30 Dark Knights. However, on the Flash, 10 Warg, 6 Dark Slayer, 30 Dark Knight, 8 Shadow Archers, 7 Shaman. Difference there. And then lastly, on the Flash version, this only applies, you have the potential to buy the premium content in order to have at your disposal an additional reinforcement. So you can play with 3 reinforcements instead of 2. Huge difference and much more beneficial. You have start off with extra gold. I'm not sure the percentage on how much, but you do get a chance to have extra gold, and you get an extra power icon to use in the game as well. So it is a lightning strike. And this is what it looks like that you have access to right there. You also get a chance to alter the costumes of the reinforcements, so you can play with Sub-Zero and the Mortal Kombat, the Street Fighters. I think those are, what is that? Looks like some, I can't think of it, Darth Vader type of players, and I don't know what those other ones, I think those are the regular reinforcements that they supply you with. But they're generous enough to give you that. All right, so here's just some more information here that has changed on Steam and Flash. Is that back then, this is back in the day when you played Steam. As you guys might already know, Steam's been updated not too long ago. I think in April of 2020, spider hatchlings, when they died back on Steam, they provided a bounty of 1. But since the update, I have not seen the hatchlings provide any bounty. And of course on Flash, it never provided bounty in the first place. Trolls on the Steam regenerated very little hit points per second. I think I've heard that quite often. People said, like for instance, the Forest Troll was a joke because it only regenerated 2 hit points per second. That's true. And I remember it very vividly. Whereas on the Flash, they regenerated 30 hit points per second, making them a monstrosity to deal with. Skeletons also back then returned a bounty of 3 when killed, but it's now been updated and only returns a bounty of 2. And that's the case as it always has been. The skeletons return a bounty of 2 when killed on Flash. And also, one notable thing that I also left out but has been updated is that the Sunray Tower on Stormcloud Temple on the Steam version, you did not have access to the Sunray Tower on Steam. But on Flash, you do. So now they've updated it. So on Steam, you do have access to the Sunray Tower to use at your disposal. So that's something that I left out, but it is true that you have access to it. And then lastly, the hounds, all of the dog hounds on Steam, they make the same growl sounds while in combat, in melee combat. However, on the Flash version, in melee combat, they make different echo sounds, and I'll try to make some echo noises myself just for fun, for funny moments. So this is what they sound like here on the rocker. Now here's what they sound like on the Flash. Listen to the different sounds. Hear that? You hear that? All that noise, that they make different sounds, and I kind of like that. They mixed it up on the Flash version. They have a different sounds, and it doesn't sound so monotone, sort of. So I kind of like that about the Kingdom Rush on the Flash version. But yeah, folks, that concludes this video. That's all I kind of wanted to talk about, those differences on the Flash and Steam. Thank you guys for your undivided attention. I really appreciate it. It means much to me that you heard me out on this. I hope this video, was an informative one. It kind of just to help you out with your decision making on, what version do you want to play on? You want to play on Steam or Flash? Well, those are those things that I think you could be aware of, and it could, if you're trying to make a video, to show people that, what your skills are like. Maybe you might find one version easier to play on versus the other. So, you choose, it's your decision, but I'm glad that I made this video just so that I can give you guys insight as to, if you want to, depending on what version you want to play on, that'll help you out as far as your gameplay wise. Unfortunately, I've never played mobile, so I can't really talk much about that, but Flash for sure and Steam I have played, and I do have an idea as to what is going on with that. So thank you, folks. That was it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you can, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. Plan to bring you pleasing content your way. This is Ricky, aka The War Champion. Folks, farewell.